Hello guys, welcome to another commentary video. This time we're doing something different. We're doing voiceover because I really don't have time to do live commentary, and voiceover allows me to explain my approaches better. So the Valkyries are back in the army. I like them better because they're just faster, and when you make the Root Riders go faster, they usually survive longer. So the Valkyries are back, and on this base I decided to go for the ZAP value with the scatter shot and the multi because that sets up the log launcher with the SUI to take out the other scatter and multi. So some super barbs and headhunters to take out the king, wall break at the junction, baby dragon to funnel the other side. I like the baby dragon in the army, to be honest. I think that there's a lot of use for the baby dragon. There's a lot of cases where the baby dragon is just better for funneling than the super barbs. Now, I deployed the log launcher a little too early here, so the expo locks onto it while the heroes get distracted with the CC. So that's a little bit of a problem, but the king should still be able to walk over to that side with the gauntlet, but I'm not getting the scatter shot. Queen should eventually go to it because she's just stuck in there and the walls are closed. So the Root Riders start here. The important thing is you need to make sure the Valkyries enter the base with the Root Riders. That's really the only thing different you need to do. And you don't have the extra Root Rider to funnel the outside, so make sure to save some super barbs to do that. I had to freeze the invis tower at first. The troops are kind of splitting a bit. Freeze the invis tower again to make sure the town hall goes down. Some archers on the right to snipe off buildings. That top side is a little annoying, but I should have enough force to go back to it. The Valks die out right now because they go for every single building. They're not only defense targeting. It ends up being a bit sloppy with all the troops splitting. But I have more than enough force to finish the base off. I have the Hog Puppet. The Hog Puppet is just so good. Haste Vial and the Hog Puppet is the best equipment combination for the Royal Champion right now. So make sure that you level those up. We're gonna take a little bit of time here. Royal Champion easily finishes off the rest of the buildings, and we have our first triple. Alright, here's our next base. This was a really popular base a while ago. It's pretty old now, it's pretty burnt. And I have attacked this a lot of times before. So what I do is I zap the monolith and scatter shot because I want to SUI the town hall with the queen. And then I send the king to the multi compartment, to the ricochet cannon. Now I expect the king's gauntlet to splash the multi through the wall, so I don't need another wall break. Now originally I thought maybe I could put a battle drill to that air defense, but then I realized it wasn't really necessary. Now the king ends up dying a bit early, and the CC gets pulled over to the queen. And the problem here now is that the expo locks onto the queen, and the Golemite's death damage triggers the town hall, so I have to invest some spells here. I decide to go with a freeze at first, deploy all my troops, send the siege barracks at first to funnel. I have to invest 2 freezes and a rage just to get to town hall. So I only have a skeleton spell for the rest of the attack. So I made sure to deploy the siege barracks first to set that initial funnel, and then I can use the root riders. Now, the RC splits off with the root riders. Normally this isn't really a good thing because you want the root riders to tank for the RC. And having them separate means that the RC is vulnerable. Now the good thing here though is that the queen ends up surviving through all of that, and she's clearing out all the outside buildings. And the RC with the hog puppet clears out that entire area. So it still ends up being a pretty overwhelming attack, despite all the spells I needed to use with the queen. So what I really needed to do here was to delay the king a bit. I need to wait until the queen is locked onto the town hall before she gets to the clan castle. And that would have made my attack a bit better. Alright, so for our next base, we have one of these common double invis core bases. Now, the main trick of these bases is to just get the king to the core. You want that king's gauntlet to absolutely destroy the whole area. So what I usually do is I zap the core just to set pathing, and then I use my queen to funnel for the root riders. You deploy your queen just to funnel for the root riders, and the root riders are just gonna walk around the outside. So it's pretty chill right now. Queen fighting ice golems. I tried to send some super barbs to take out that cannon, just to take some damage off the queen. You generally want to save your super barbs to clean up the outside defenses, but I think that taking the damage off the queen was a decent investment, and it funnels the queen to walk to the other side. So I think it was fine. While the queen goes to that side, I can start the root riders. And with the log launcher. The log launcher is just gonna open up the core for the king. And trigger the other invis tower, so I don't have to worry about it later. Now, the problem here was the root riders ended up going into core. So I decided that I can send my king somewhere else, because the root riders are going to take out the core anyway. So I don't need my king there. My mistake here was not considering the root rider pathing. So sometimes it's good just to look at how the defenses are placed, so you can predict where your root riders are going to go. But king and queen are just walking around the outside, warden ability for the town hall. It ends up being overkill anyway. Unless you make a mistake, unless you make a big mistake, these bases are generally super easy. And here we have another double invis base, because these bases are just super popular. Because noobs don't know how to attack them. They take advantage of the weak, of the weak-minded, of the noob root rider spammers that don't know what they're doing. So, anyway, again, we just take the ZAP value in the core and use the queen to funnel somewhere. Now, I send her to the bottom multi because, one, there's no damage there, and two, because I want her to pull the CC. So now we just wait. Queen is doing Queen Fiends. Now Golem is doing Queen Fiends and beating on a wall. There we go, finally the CC gets pulled and the timing is really good. The Queen is taking no damage while fighting the CC. So, I can start with the Root Riders, Valks, Royal Champion, Log Launcher. Usually you'll have like one Root Rider die super early. If you send the Root Riders into damage, usually one of them just dies super early, but sometimes you wanna use a skeleton spell early, just so you can delay the warden ability a bit. But in this case, it was fine if I lost one, or if I lost just one early. Now there we go, we have a back end wall breaker for the Queen, and a skeleton spell, so she stays alive for an entire attack. And again, King for the core. Be patient with the King. You don't want to deploy the King so early that you send him to an outside building. You want to be patient. Wait until everything's clear for him to go to the core. And I didn't even need a rage. I swagged like 3 spells. Again, these bases are just super easy if you know what you're doing. Now here we have something different. It's not a double invis base. It's a double poison ring base with the core isolated from the rest of the base. You see those dead zones. It's hard to get Root Rider pathing to the core. That's why these bases work. But what I'm gonna do is a completely different approach. I'm gonna send both of the heroes into one of these side compartments with the log launcher, because on these types of bases, it's super easy to get the heroes to the core. Like, look at this perfect pathing. The gauntlet is just gonna destroy the entire core. Those ice golems, they don't matter. You have spells. You can invest free spells if you need them. You do want to avoid using the rage spell for the SUI if you can, but sometimes you're gonna have to. Like, there's no other option. Like, you just need the heroes to get the town hall down. And the rest of the base is just Root Riders. They're not gonna die. They're just gonna walk around the outside. Because the heroes took out the core, you don't need the Root Riders to go to the core anymore. You already have the perfect pathing established for them by the formation of the base. The heroes just took out the entire core, and that sets the pathing for the Root Riders. You don't even need the Root Riders to go to the core. This base, this type of base, it wants the Root Riders not to go to the core. And that is exactly how you can beat these types of bases. Because the Root Riders don't have to go to the core. The heroes do. And it's a bit slow, but it gets the job done. Now here we have another really common ring base. It's not really a ring base, it's an anti-2 base, but pretty much same approaches. Now, on this base, I see that there's just so much damage spread about the base. I felt like the log launcher approach just wouldn't really work. I felt like the heroes just wouldn't be able to get the town hall with the log launcher. And I didn't want to risk it, so I go for the traditional approach. I zap to set up the heroes to walk around the base and get value somewhere. Now I deploy the queen in the corner and funnel her to walk left, and she's taking no damage, so it's perfect. Now what I want to do here is I want the queen to just take the scatter shot and then dip out, then move on toward the other side of the base. And the king does what I expected. He dips out. The queen is still getting buildings. Now here's the problem. There's no other buildings for the queen to go for. So she just beats on a wall. And the heroes aren't going to get much more. The heroes' jobs are done. Now then you just send the root riders with the perfect pathing that you established with the siege barracks. Now I did use a few super barbarians to funnel for the siege barracks already on the top side. And what's good is that the queen does pull the CC, but she turns invisible for a second and the CC goes to the root riders, so very not ideal. This is very unideal. I have to pop the warden early here to go through all the ice golems. I do have the skeleton spell for the back end and another freeze and a lot of super barbs and a lot of wizards. So ultimately I end up having more than enough force to triple the base, but it didn't exactly go to plan. On some ring bases, this approach is not really consistent, especially those isolated core bases that you want to use the new approach for. Here's another double invis core base, because they're just so popular. Now we just do what we regularly do. Take ZAP value in the core, use the queen to funnel somewhere, send the root riders to go around the base, log launcher with the king for the town hall. So, plan's gonna be in motion here. I decided to send the queen to the bottom after looking at the defenses a bit. Now, a mistake I do is I send the queen first and not the golem, so the expo logs onto the queen. I didn't think the queen was in range of the expo, but she was, so I had to invest the freeze. On this type of base, you usually don't need any spells for the root riders at all. So it's okay if you have to invest some spells for the heroes. But of course you don't want to overdo it. If you panic and make mistakes, that's when you're actually gonna fail this type of base. So, queen over there. She actually doesn't take the multi because there was just too much damage on her. So I sent some super barbs to finish it off. And now I can't end the king yet because of those storages at the left. And there he goes. There the king goes. The king's just gonna wreck the entire core. Warden ability, once the root riders go into damage, you can rage. Now, I keep on saying how these bases are so easy, but you need experience to build up that knowledge. At first, you're gonna make some mistakes, and even the best of the best can make mistakes, and that's how these bases work. They just rely on you to make mistakes. Now, I wouldn't really recommend using these bases, these double invis bases in Legends, unless you're at like 5600, 5700, because that's where all the noobs are. So, again, I usually have an easy time on these bases, but I do admit sometimes I fail against them too because of some stupid thing I do. But here we have another triple. Now here we have a more traditional ring base. This is a very burnt base from Itsu that was super popular like 2 or 3 months ago. Now just looking at this base, it's pretty clear that you can use the new Lock Launcher SUI approach. So we just go for the ZAP value in the core to take off damage from the heroes. And if you look at that compartment above the single inferno, it's pretty clear that once the heroes go in that compartment, they're not going to go anywhere else. So I funnel my heroes to go into that compartment. The queen doesn't take damage initially, so I can send her in the corner and let her just walk to it. I wait to send the king because I'm afraid that the queen might go the other way if I destroy that spell's factory. So there we go. Queen is on the right track. I can send king and a log launcher. Now, all of that single target damage in the core, you can invest the Skelly spell. It's what the Skelly spell is for, is to take damage off of your troops. It's to distract those single infernos, the scatter shots, the ricochet cannons, all the high damage. Now the heroes do pull the CC and they're taking a lot of damage, so I do freeze. Gauntlet easily takes care of all the ice golems. And sometimes you need to pop queen a bit early just to get those healers. But yeah, they pretty easily take the town hall. And it's just pretty easy from here. Super barbs to clear the outside defenses to make sure the Root Riders don't go outside. RC splits off a bit, but that's fine because she takes out the monolith. And that's it. This base is gone. You can just watch it from here. Next base. This one is a slightly different ring base. There are dead zones in the core, but only from 2 sides. But, again, it's really easy for a log launcher approach, because if you look at this closed compartment, once the heroes enter this compartment, they're not going to go anywhere else. So, king, queen, log launcher. It's okay if the heroes get stuck busting on walls for a few seconds. But the most important thing is, you just make sure the log launcher doesn't take any damage. You need to make sure the log launcher gets there. And here's another good thing about having an E-Titan in the clan castle. Because if there are any skeletons in the core, if there are any skeletons that can wreck your log launcher SUI, the E-Titan just wrecks the skeletons. Now I send the Root Riders on that side just because of the pathing, and because the queen went on that side anyway, so it saves a bit of time. I do freeze the queen right there because I don't have any more headhunters. Getting super barbs for the outside of the base. You can snipe a few buildings with archers. And now it's just all about using your spells properly. Scaly spell to distract. You have a leftover lightning spell that you can use on ground skellies, like right there. I don't use it because I can just swag it. I use it to reset the expo just for funsies. I have a leftover freeze. Look at all these troops I have alive. With the new log launcher approach, these ring bases are just so easy. The double invis bases return. It's just going to be the same approach over and over again. Once you do it a few times, it's going to be super easy. ZAP value, expo, multi, invis tower. Now I lured the CC with a super barb there. And I get the CC to a corner. On some bases, you don't want to lure the CC. You don't want to take like a minute to just lure CC. You don't want to take a lot of time for it. So I wouldn't recommend pulling the CC if you're just gonna send the queen opposite of the CC anyway. But I set my queen where the CC was, so I wanted her to fight the CC without any damage on her. Now, the formation of these defenses again, they allow the root riders to just go straight around the base. So you just need to be patient with the king. I can't send him now because you know I'm not confident. There we go, right to the eagle. It's better to send the king too late than too early. Because if you send the king too early, he might not go to the court. So, you just need to not panic and be patient. And this base is just wrecked. I even had a back-end wall break for the queen, so she could just keep on going. Queen ability, RC ability, ZAP, 2 freezes. I can swag all of them. Bam. Here's yet another double invis base. If you want to push in high legends, you have to be able to beat the double invis bases. You have to be consistent in tripling these. Now this base is slightly different because you can use the log launcher SUI ring base approach. Because if you look at this base closely, you'll notice if you send the heroes into the multi compartment, they're not gonna go anywhere else. They're not gonna go anywhere else. And when the log launcher busts through the walls, they have nowhere else to go but the town hall. Ice golems, they stall them up a bit. I try to use the super barb to take out the cannon, but it's a bit too late. The queen goes there anyway, and she's gonna go for the air defense. But the king is enough to take the town hall, and the queen's just gonna be on a wall now. Root riders start on the left. Now, I do send a wall breaker for the queen, because it's always nice to have the queen not baiting on a wall. It's nice for the queen to be productive. And yet again, the Root Riders can just walk around the base. I do send the Skelly Cell and the Headhunters for the Queen because I see that the Queen has potential to keep going, so I just let her keep on going. And that's pretty much it. This base is deleted. And I'm seeing now that that's the last attack of the video. So, thanks for watching. And I hope you liked the voiceover. It's something different. I have a lot more to say when I'm in voiceover. And I hope it's not too different than the live commentary. So yeah, thanks for watching again.